South Main Street? What would be happening right now if we were back then, back in that?
Oh, there's a lot of traffic. There's a lot of stores. The Park Theater was down on South Main Street. That's really down on South Main at the corners.
Yep.
Globe Four Corners, they call it, right? What you did as a kid on a Saturday morning, you get out of bed. You know, we were very creative. You automatically grabbed the bat and ball if it was the summertime. Or you grabbed the fishing pole and all the guys would get together. We'd go fishing the Saltwater Pond. You know, now, that's like on a Saturday morning. The Saturday afternoon, for a nickel, we take the bus downtown and we go to the Plaza Theater for 14 cents. So in the Plaza Theater, that was the afternoon, all the kids were there. You got the newsreel, you got the cartoons, most of the time you got Three Stooges, and you had 2 movies for 14 cents. Your parents knew where you were. If they needed to come and get you, they'd go to the Plaza to get you. You know, right across the street was the Capitol Theater. Let's say that my generation was very creative. Your parents did not entertain you. You had to entertain yourself.
Right.
You know, like we played hide and seek, stickball, which was a very popular game.
I got to play those too, yeah.
You know, and we go down to Aruta's Field. I came from Maplewood. I originally come from Ames Street.
Excuse me.
And so that was a heavily populated area. But we had open space. And so you had to go out and sometime you chase the cows out of the field. Old man Aruta would go nuts.
Is that still the Aruta milk guy? That's
it's the Harbor Mall is down there now.
Yeah.
And that was part of the brook, you know.
Well, wasn't that,
and,
what was that over there, the Harbor Mall? Wasn't that, someone said it was like a swamp.
No, that used to be the Tucker Street dump.
Okay.
And I mean, we played in the Tucker Street dump. I mean, because Firestone dumped all their trash there. That originally was the first toxic dump site in Fall River. Now, I don't know if they ever took all the junk out of there, but we remember seeing the trucks go down there with all the 50-gallon drums from Firestone. It's all buried there. I'm surprised they don't do any radon tests there to see if there's anything coming up from the ground, because, again, that place was always on fire. So then finally they opened up the one at the airport, which to me was a big mistake.
Yeah.
You know, to open that one up. They took that choice land up there. But
you know, I wanted to ask you something. I saw in the picture, like when we were talking about downtown back then.
Yeah.
I actually saw a policeman in a booth directing traffic. There was no
traffic.
traffic
Right on Bedford Street in South Main. He'd put it aside on the corner of Bedford and North Main Street, and when he'd go on duty, he'd push it out into the center, and then he'd get in there and have an umbrella if it was a sunny day, and he'd be directing traffic. There were no traffic lights.
That's what he did for the whole shift?
That's what he did for the whole shift. He was in that box.
Standing up?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The more popular police officers of my day that we remember as kids, who always watched over you, were Babe Sinnott, his brother Jimmy. Everybody remembers Farrell Flynn. He's a big guy. You know, I mean, Fall River had such a history. It was so exciting at one time. It was a great place to grow up. My generation was terrific, you know. People took care of people. And they know who you were, Chris. Somebody would see you and would tell your mother and father, I saw Chris downtown, and he was running through Kresge's, and he was running through the stores. You know, it was in how
even in the city, people still knew who you were.
They knew who you were. It was an incredible thing.
You know, I'll tell you what. In my neighborhood, for instance, I'll tell you, and I've in a lot of neighborhoods throughout Fall River.
Yeah.
I don't even know my next door neighbor's name.
No.
I couldn't tell you what his kids' names are.
They don't talk to one another anymore.
Because we're afraid.
There's no bonding. Very little communication.
We're all afraid.
I don't know why.
We're all afraid.
And the kids all knew one another. We all went to school with one another. I went to Laternal first, then I went to the French school, which was St. Gina Baptist, and then I went over to Henry Lord. So we all, the whole neighborhood knew who you were. You couldn't do anything because the guy at the end of Ames Street would call your father up and he'd tell you.
Yeah.
You know, he would tell him that you were being a bad boy, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, there was a lot of activity. And like I say, we were very creative. We entertained ourselves. We had actual funny books. And I would take a stack of funny books, I'd go to your house, and we'd switch funny books. I'd trade with you. Funny book that you didn't see that I had, you'd take, and one that you had, I would take. You know, it was just a wonderful, great time, doing World War II and at the end of World War II, you know. Then the guys came back from the service, and there was a lot of activity going on. The parades in Fall River at one time was second to none. I remember as a young person, you couldn't get over the parades that this city had put on and had seen. And again, like I say, it was an extremely safe city. Police officers were right on top of it, and you respected police officers, and you respected firefighters. Right now, if a cop ever said, I'm going to take you home, oh boy, don't ever go home with a police officer, especially in a cruiser. In my day,
My dad told me he'd get a whack and then he'd get another whack at home.
oh,
He'd get a whack.
unbelievable.
If you didn't respect the policeman, you got a whack,
Yeah.
and then he used to take you home.
Sure.
And then he'd get another whack at home.
To this day, I remember the police officers in my neck of the woods. I remember their names, Gendron, Norm Gendron, Frank Medeiros. I remember all those guys because they were role models. They left such an impression on you. You know what
I'm glad
saying?
that you brought up a role
And we
model.
respected them, you know?
Because I was actually watching on television.
How did we get on this anyway? It's all I don't want it to be about me.
But you know what? Hey, yeah, it just happens, you know?
Oh.
And it kind of is, you know why? Because it's time for you to relax, right? You guys have done
relax.
your job. No, I mean, you've done your job. So now it's my generation, the Generation X, and I've been saying
I
this.
feel very
needs to-
bad for your generation.
Well, we need to. I feel bad for the generation after me, my kids.
If there is one.
You know, I have it right now. We're Generation X, which is the last named generation right now. And for my kids, I call it Generation question mark because I don't know what they're going to call it.
I think the thing that stifles us more than anything is you see, you couldn't swear in front of a girl when I was growing up. You never heard any curse words. Much like the Portuguese today, when a man comes into the club with his son, everybody
Oh, yeah.
watches their
It's
tongue.
still like that today.
It's out of respect.
Still like that
But
today.
you couldn't do that in my day. You'd get a knuckle sandwich. You know what I mean? We respected girls.
Yep.
And you couldn't fool around. And there was no such thing as cohabitation like you got today.
Yeah.
Today it's swinging like you won't believe. You know, and it's terrible because the incidence of pregnancy among young girls is out of control, okay? That never happened in my... If your sister got pregnant, and it happened, she was taken out of town. Your parents would hide her somewhere.
Big shame.
Oh!
Yeah, big
Right.
shame.
But unfortunately today, it appears like there's no shame. You know, like we just take it with a grain of salt, which is the wrong thing to do. You send the wrong message.
Well, you know what? That conversation, we can go. That can take us to another dimension of conversation.
There's no doubt.
I mean, look at now that they're closing the condom factory right now. They're closing it down.
All right, so China can make them, huh? You were telling me, yeah?
Yeah. So I don't know. You know, we've
Well,
seen
see,
Chinese.
those conversations never came about. They were never talked about in front of children.
Yep.
All right? The parents always held those conversations to themselves. So you never saw things on television like you see today. It distorts the mind,
Yep.
and it poisons it. That's what it's all about. But on that note, before I forget, I don't want to have a senior moment. I brought this because I wanted you to see it. I'm going to go back to this. This unemployment rate is totally unacceptable, okay? And I want to go back to what you're talking about. We're going to talk about this again, that's for sure.
Well,
Fall River, on February of 09, 16.2 unemployment. You got to be nuts. That's depression figures.
That's good for the next show
right.
we got because you know what? Guess what? We got to wrap it up.
Already?
Oh
We
yeah.
just started.
We got to wrap it up.
Mamma
Half hour
mia.
goes by fast. You know, ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you what.
Much.
I'm glad to be here. I'm getting a little bit more comfortable now under the lights. You know, under this one, this is a big place.
We're going to talk about this next week.
Oh, yeah.
This is about your driver's license, by the way. People should be aware. We'll do that.
We got a lot to talk about. It's our first day. We got our set. We're working on it. Please continue to watch us. We love our fans. We'll do anything we can for you to the best of our
Everything to
ability.
help you.
Bristol County News, Bristol County News and Senior Concerns. Reach us at bristolcountynews@comcast.com. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time.
See you next week. Good night now. Good day now.